What's up guys, Nsima the Centaur Inyang here. This video is going to be a change of pace from what I usually make for you. And I don't know what I'm going to call this video series, but I have a lot of thoughts that go through this head and I like to get them out. So if you guys have something in the comments you think I can, like an idea I can make this, let me know. But you saw by the title, it sounds very dramatic. 10,000 hours, consistency and the pit of awareness. And I'm just gonna dive right into it. I have a very rough outline of what I'm gonna say. So I'm gonna explain first off what I mean by 10,000 hours. Now you guys may have heard of something called the 10,000 hour rule. It was actually popularized by Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, which is a very good book. I do suggest that you read it, where he talks about a lot of instances of people in history and very big names that people think what they've done is impossible. People like Bill Gates, people like Bill Joy, who's the father of modern programming. And he pretty much says that there's a statistical reason why certain people are where they are. And there's not just luck involved. There was always seen to be 10,000 hours of work behind everything that they did. Now let's use Bill Gates as an example real quick. I'm going to make this quick, okay? Bill Gates started coding when he was 12 years old. And at that time, coding was not something that a lot of people had access to. Even Bill Joy, who I believe was 21 at the time, he had a little bit of computer programming, but he and Bill started coding around the same time. Well, both Bill and Bill, right? And they both had an advantage over everyone else in that programming and the type of programming that they were doing at the time was very new, and they had access to it, right? Now, by the time Bill Gates was, I believe, 19 or 20 when he started Microsoft, he had already had more than 10,000 hours of practice. And when he started all of this, when he started Microsoft, he was extremely successful with it, and people didn't realize why a guy so young was able to achieve what he did. And we see Bill now, he's super rich and super successful, blah, blah, blah. But I believe, and I'm going to give you a quick brief primer on myself and how I got into lifting. I believe 10,000 hours is a minimum that you need to master anything. Now, I started lifting when I was 13 years old, and it was a product of accident. It was a product of injury. I've played soccer since I was 6, okay? And I played very competitively. I traveled around the United States on my soccer teams. My plan, honestly, was to play in college and potentially go pro afterwards. Now, when I was 13, I got something called Osgood-Schlatter. It's the problem in the ligament in the knees. I had it in both knees, and it stopped me from being able to run from the age of 13 to 16. Well, I was a very hyperactive kid. My mom noticed that when I wasn't able to play soccer, since I literally wasn't able to run, I started to kind of go into a bout of slight depression. And that's the first time where she bought me a dumbbell set. She bought me a pair of 15s and she bought me a pair of 25s, and I started lifting in my grandma's room. After that, I was doing I was doing chest pressing. I was doing, if you guys ever remember 8-minute abs, I was doing a lot of that. I was doing shoulder presses, bicep curls, all of that. And we had a gym by our house, which actually you're allowed to get a membership at that gym at 13. So my mom got me a membership there. And I started working out. I had no idea really what to do, but I had a lot of guys in the gym that were working out, and I just followed suit. I would go in, I'd see what the bigger guys were doing, and I'd just copy them. And what I wanted to do was I always wanted to go back and play soccer, right? But in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm going to get bigger. I'm going to get muscle right now. And by the time I hit the soccer field again, I'm going to be bigger than everyone else. Well, let's fast forward real quick. I don't want to take too much time with this. By the time I was 16, I was 220 pounds, okay? And that is, when I went back and played soccer with my old team, that was the first steroid accusation I got at 16 years old by one of my teammates. He told the coach, Nsima must have taken something to get this big. There's no reason he should be this big, blah, 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 all that kind of shit, right? And it was funny because all through that point, I was always bigger than everybody else. When I started playing soccer again, I started losing weight. I was maybe 190 to 200 to 210 when I played in college. But I was always bigger than everybody else on the field. Parents would always wonder, parents would try and ask for my birth certificate because they always thought I was older than all the other kids and they didn't think I should be playing with their children. So you kind of get the idea. Now I played in college a little bit. I got another injury in college which stopped me from playing. I had surgery on my foot. And by that time, that's when I started lifting more seriously, by the time I was 19. Now, don't get it twisted. I lifted all the way from 13 through 20, but I stopped at 20 and kept lifting for, I stopped soccer at around 19 or 20 and then kept lifting from there. And we have this now. Truly, I believe that I've had about 10,000 hours of gym experience from the time I was 13 to the time I am to 23 where I am now. And my 17 years of athletic experience in general has aided to the type of success I've had working out now. Now I'm going to kind of go into what I was thinking about when I'm thinking about consistency and the pit of awareness. Now, consistency. When you're young, like we think of these piano prodigies and these kids who start things when they're really young, and by the time they're 20, 21, 22, they're one of the top in what they do. And people are like, how the hell is this kid playing the piano like this and he's 22 years old? Well, he started when he was like 6 or 7. And when you're a kid and you're doing these things, you don't think about, oh snap, well, you don't think about what everyone around you is doing. You just think about progressing yourself. You know, you don't have a concept of time or how long it's going to take you to do something. You're a kid. You know, when a lot of us in our 20s, when we think about when we were 13, we're like, oh shit, that was so long ago. I wouldn't even be thinking about being 25 right now. But time flies, right? Now, the pit of awareness. It's something that I was thinking about after I did jiu-jitsu on Wednesday. Doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu, it made me realize what it is to be new again. New at something. I've always been an athletic dude, right? I've always had an affinity for the physical. Now, even though I have an affinity for the physical, going into that jiu-jitsu class and seeing these guys that are in their 20s that are so good and getting pretty much thrown around like a rag doll and being so frustrated with learning this, I was thinking, how must it feel for a guy that's only been working out for 2 years and he sees people that are so much better than him that are potentially the same age as him or potentially younger than him. Starting working out when you're 26 years old and you're seeing these guys that are young and they're bigger than you or they're stronger than you. How must it feel? It has to be frustrating. And the reason it's so frustrating is because we're so aware of everything that's going on around us. We're so aware of everybody's results. We're so aware of everybody's success that it paralyzes us. And I'm not going to quit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I have it again tomorrow on Friday. But the fact that in that class, I got so frustrated and I just sat by and I watched everybody else roll on the mat. And I was thinking to myself, this is going to be such a great experience. If you're starting to work out and you're newer to this, okay, it's not going to come naturally. It's going to take time to learn the little things that happen. And if you're older, especially, you're going to be so aware of everyone's success around you that you're going to be paralyzed. I was paralyzed on Wednesday and I was frustrated. Don't be so aware and so paralyzed that you don't try and progress, that you don't go through the hard times. Because for me, lifting is natural. Lifting is easy. Progressing is easy. Programming is easy. Nutrition is easy. But I've been doing it for a long time, longer than most people older than me. But for a lot of you guys, you're just getting into this habit. You're just getting into this lifting thing. And seeing so many people, seeing a guy that's 23 and 240 pounds, you're like, what the fuck? A lot of people are like, oh no, there's no way he's natural. But they don't know the back end. They don't know the whole story. So my message to you, with everything I do on this channel, is not that a certain supplement will get you big or that working out this way is going to get you to be looking like me. My whole message is that you need to be consistent. And I know that the age range of guys that are watching these videos are older than 16 or 17, and even girls or women, sorry. And we are becoming more aware, right? Social media, we're seeing everyone, we're seeing all these people that are so advanced. But do not let awareness and other people's success paralyzing you from progressing yourself. If someone says something isn't possible, realize that that person doesn't know what consistency means. Don't be naive, for example, right? Don't think that like Phil Heath or you can attain that kind of physique without certain things, but realize that your own progression and your own success is determined by your own consistency in your work. And if you're not consistent, you won't get anywhere. Now, even if you work out for 10 years, you may not look like me. But the fact is, you're going to be extremely impressive and you're going to break things and break goals that you never thought were possible for yourself. This video probably ended up longer than I wanted it to be, but I think I got a decent message across. There's probably more things I wanted to say, but I'm going to cut this off here because I'm going to be making YouTube videos for a long time, right? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you actually watched the video. Maybe you're eating something or whatever, but this is Nsima the Centaur Inyang from Break the Bar, and I'll be talking to you all very soon.